What's up, everyone? This is the Week 8 recap video, so let's get right into it. It was a pretty interesting week. Let's go just reverse order here. So this was the only game that actually had intrigue going into last night's game between the Vikings and the Bears. Um, Basically, it looks like, or it was, Diggs won the game for SN at the end. He was down, I believe, 6 points, around 6 points. And Diggs had him 13, but actually it was looking pretty bad for SN until the end of the fourth quarter. Um, I believe the Vikings were down 20-3, and they basically lost the game. And they kind of scored a garbage touchdown, and Diggs actually scored that touchdown for them. And I believe SN was losing at the time, and the touchdown put him over the top. So it's not as much of a. It was a lot closer than 8 points, really, if you really thought about it. David Johnson, like I said last week, I mean, David Johnson, if he has a human performance, I mean, SN, it's hard for him to score points sometimes. He sat Cobb. Marshall has been pretty disappointing. Pretty disappointing. He picked up basically a starting running back. He didn't pick him up. He actually stashed him for a very long time. I was thinking about trading for him a couple weeks before, but just to see if I could stash him, but I didn't end up doing it, and worked out for him that he kept him. Mon's team. So he is tied for first. Now, my opinion, Dre's team is the most scariest team. I feel like he's got the best ability to really score the most amount of points every week. That's mostly because of his two running backs, Freeman and Melvin Gordon. I still stand behind my Miller trade. He's done well for me too. And the only thing I could say is that sometimes his wide receivers can be a little unreliable. Like Fitzgerald hasn't had that good of a year, even though he's like the ninth ranked wide receiver. Um, the past like 5 weeks, other than that 20-point game against San Francisco, haven't done that much. And then Amari Cooper is basically hit or miss, even though he's a sixth ranked wide receiver. That trade did not work out well for Yates. It's not league breaking, but it did not work out well for Yates. And Brandon Cooks, like I said, mostly boomer bust. He's been playing a little bit better recently, so. Mosen's team kind of got screwed over by his wide receivers. That's kind of his weak spot too, I would say. Is if Robinson doesn't do well, and the last 3 weeks he has not done well at all. So, and then he also got screwed over by Montgomery. I believe the ESPN people were saying he was going to play, but they ended up getting their sources wrong or something, and then he actually didn't end up playing. I believe that was the situation. Yeah, there was nothing Mosen could do this week. Dre's team was too good. This was a big matchup between AK and George. George's team, 112 points, pretty solid. Seems like he gets over 100 points almost every week. I would say he got the better end of the Odell trade. And he started Nunwa, actually did well. And his Ingram, I believe, fumbled. He wasn't hurt. He fumbled at the beginning of the game, and they kind of replaced him. He's not hurt. And AK's team scored 97. It's pretty solid. He would have beat most, good amount of teams in the league this week. He lives and dies with those Denver wide receivers. I mean, that's his weak spot too, I would say. Those Denver wide receivers, if they do well, his team usually wins. If they don't, kind of has to rely on luck and Crowell and Spencer Ware, who got hurt. Des Bryant actually came back and did well for him, and he gets Cleveland next week. So Mang and Yates. So Mang has really impressed by basically his entire team almost getting hurt, and him still being 5-3 and also scoring 107 points. Think about who he drafted. He drafted Adrian Peterson and Doug Martin, and Doug Martin hasn't played at all. Adrian Peterson got hurt. He traded for McCoy, which ended up being a really good trade for him, and he didn't play. So he's starting a team of Jonathan Stewart, Giovanni Bernard, Alshon Jeffrey, Devontae Adams. Jordan Reed's been nice. He's Jordan Reed is always solid. Um, he scores 107 points. That's pretty impressive. And Yates' team scored 103 points. Like I said, Yates' team can still put up points even though he's 1-7, and it's just bad luck that he lost. Yates has had some bad luck this year too. Wow, both Antonio Brown and Odell Beckham Jr. were on buys, and Ajayi, the next OJ Simpson, and still put up 103 with Jordan Howard and Duke Johnson doing well. Wow. And last game between me and the defending champ, Gunslinger. My team, I did not do well this week because my two wide receivers, Tulio and Mike Evans, they had normal days. I think I would have won, and because Forte's had a nice bounce back couple weeks, and then Lamar Miller, who was actually playing hurt, actually put up a good 12 points. Matt Ryan's been awesome, 24 points. It was just that that's my worry, man. Sometimes teams will zero in on Julio and almost try to take him out, and Matt Ryan will do well, but Julio won't do well. Golden Tate did not do well for me. Defense did not do well, and it looked like he started the right San Diego tight end. Even though I'm looking at the game, I'm watching the game, Henry's getting targets. Because I think Gates only scored. Yeah, he only had 4 receptions, so that's kind of worrying me that Henry might not be as involved as he once was. Gore, like I said, every week he just puts up his standard 12 or above. Brady, 29 points, and he won. Gunslinger won without Le'Veon Bell. It was an important game for him. And Ty basically was taken out. I think he was hurt. I'm not sure. DeAndre Hopkins has been extremely disappointing. I would say probably the biggest bust out of the first round, except for Peterson, but he got hurt. So it depends how you define bust. I usually define it by just underperforming. You can't really control injuries. So look at the standings. So we'll also look at the projected playoff bracket as well. SN and me are tied for first. He beats me in points, so he's got the edge there. And then you got Trey and Mang. And then you got George, who is finally back to the playoffs. I believe still being the top scoring team in the league. And Mosen, the last playoff spot. Let's take a look at the points for. Yeah, my team, I guess I'm the Mang of last year. I think you could officially say that. But my team puts up points. It's just my team. It just never comes together. Like one week, my wide receivers will do really well, and the running backs won't. And then the other way around this week. So I can't put up those really big games like Mosen and Dre have put together, and also George. SN's kind of usually been mostly consistent, I would say. Yep, those are basically between Mosen and AK is the points difference. Mosen has more points than AK. That's the reason why he has the edge. So let me make sure I'm okay on time. I can't really. It doesn't tell me today. Damn it. So this is the projected playoff bracket. So you got SN as the number 1 seed, and then me as the number 2 down here, and then the number 4 and number 5, Mang and George going against each other, and then you got Mosen and Dre going against each other. So those are the four. Those as of right now. Those would be the top 6 teams. Then down here you got the constellation thing, which doesn't really matter, at least in our league. Um, so what am I doing? I'm going to the week 9 previews. I'm just gonna go very quickly. Me and Nang got AK and Mosin. That's a big game. Big game for everybody, really, at this time of the year because everyone's kind of still in it. Dre and Amon, George and Gunslinger, big game of tie teams, and the last game is SN and Yates. Basically, a huge game for the teams that are. It's basically every team that's 4-4 is playing against each other this week. So those are the big games to watch. Those will start to separate the teams that are going to make the playoffs and who's not. I believe we have this week. So we have 5 weeks, including this week, left. So we're getting down to really getting down the playoff hunt right now. And I want to work with Gunn and talk about maybe starting to design the trophy. So we kind of can make kind of like a race for the playoff. I kind of want to make like I want to design the trophy so we all know what we're kind of playing for, So I kind of want to do that this week or next week, depends on me and Gunn's schedule. Also, I kind of want to look at the standings again because this is pretty interesting. It's hard for me to look at last year's and see what we were at this time last year, but I believe this year we have. I remember I keep saying this, but it's everyone is essentially, I wouldn't say even, but I mean everyone has a chance to beat everybody. Even Yates' team, who's 1-7, is outscoring my team, or not outscoring, but it's pretty close to my team in scoring. So, and I'm 6-2. So a lot of it is just we're all even. Everyone's got a chance to beat everybody, and that's the number one thing I wanted out of this league this year. I'm very happy it's ended up where it's week 9, and I would say 9 of the teams are still basically in it. Yates is kind of on the outside looking in, but he could still make a run. If he wins the next 5 games and ends up being 6-7, that could possibly be enough to get you in the last playoff spot. I'm not sure. It depends how the schedule is going to have to work out for him. And then you have the top scoring team in the league, George, being 4-4. So this has been a very interesting year, and it should be an interesting finish to the year for the last 5 weeks. Eventually, I'm going to go into. I might make a separate video of actually recapping the draft, see the busts and see the steals, and that's not right now because I think they still got 5 weeks left in the regular season, so people could still break out and stuff. Yep. So I think that's it, guys. Hope everyone gets their waivers in today, and have a good week.